the Kathmandu metropolitan city, Balendra Shah, has shared grievances of the local levels regarding their challenges in operation because of regular changes in the government. Good evening, I am Prarambha Dahal. Let's begin with the main stories. Ruling coalition concludes share of number of ministries. Nepali Congress to lead 8, 5 allocated for CPN Maoist Center, 2 each for Janata Samajwadi and Unified Socialist. Portfolios yet to be concluded. Universities and campuses not to be allowed for appointment of teachers at their comfort. A license examination to be made mandatory. Judicial committees of local levels facing complications because of lack of awareness regarding legal provisions. Deputies share grievances regarding interventions of their chiefs. And performance of the men's national football team on the decline, and for failing to introduce programs for improving the standards of players. Despite nearing agreement on the number of ministerial portfolios for the parties in the ruling coalition, the Council of Ministers failed to expand today as conclusion on the allocation of specific portfolios remained elusive. Leaders of the ruling coalition have claimed that agreement has been reached among the alliance parties in 2 separate meetings held at the official residence of the Prime Minister in Balotar regarding the number of ministries for the parties. Based on the consensus, largest party of the ruling coalition, Nepali Congress, is to have 8 ministerial portfolios. 5 ministries have been assigned for CPN Maoist Center, 2 each for CPN Unified Socialist and Janata Samajwadi Party, while 1 each have been allocated for Loktantrik Samajwadi Party, Nagarik Unmukti, Nepal Samajwadi Party and Prabhu Shah. Meanwhile, Rashtriya Swatantra Party, which has extended the vote of the confidence to the government, has not been allocated any ministry. Despite an agreement on the numbers, the portfolios have yet to be decided. Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal is making preparations to give a full shape to the Council of Ministers, issue the government's common minimum program, and then leave for his India visit. Now, another meeting of the ruling coalition is slated for tomorrow. The government is to hold dialogue with the victims of loan sharks tomorrow as well. The committee led by the Joint Secretary at the Ministry of Home Affairs has invited the victims for the parley. According to Joint Secretary at the Ministry of Home Affairs, Rudra Devi Sharma, victims of loan sharks have been invited for a meeting at 10 a.m. in Singadarwar tomorrow. The victims, who had arrived in Kathmandu after walking for 11 days, spent the day preparing for the dialogue. Health issues have begun surfacing in most of the victims because of continuous walking and tiredness. They have remained firm in their stance of continuing their protest and not returning home until their demands are addressed. Issues of the victims of loan sharks have been raised at the House of Representatives as well. Now, members of the House of Representatives have alleged the government of dilly-dallying in addressing the problems of the victims of loan sharks. In today's session of the House of Representatives, members of the House have alleged the government of not being serious towards addressing the issues of the victims of loan sharks. Many parliamentarians said that farmers had become victims of loan sharks because of banks. The parliamentarians also alleged the government of remaining indifferent even when the victims of loan sharks of Madhya province had reached the federal capital by walking for 11 days. Deputy chairpersons of local levels have expressed grievances that chairpersons had been interfering in the affairs of judicial committees that fall under the jurisdiction of the former. Now, speaking at the National Judicial Committee conference organized by the Kathmandu Metropolis today, deputy chairpersons of local levels said they had faced challenges in addressing complaints, which included unwanted interference from chairpersons and lack of understanding of the laws. Coordinators of the judicial committees at the local levels have said most of them receive applications of family disputes, property dispute and domestic violence, among others. Meanwhile, local levels in remote regions do not receive complaints due to lack of easy access. At the conference, deputy chairpersons clarified their roles were not limited to judicial committees and that they also actively carried out monitoring programs. The conference intends to provide local levels a platform to share experience with one another and raise its effectiveness. In our public voice segment, we have asked chairpersons and deputy chairpersons of the local levels regarding the challenges they have faced during their term. Let us now take a look at what they had to say.
Public voice.
अब उपाध्यक्ष उपमेयर भएपछि चाहिँ हामीले न्यायिक समितिको चाहिँ संयोजक भइसकेर काम गर्ने क्रममा चाहिँ अलिअलि हामीलाई समस्या चाहिँ छ।
जग्गै सम्बन्धको यो सानोतिनो त्यो आलीको यही समस्या धेरै आउँछ।
पूर्वाधार निर्माणको क्रममा छौं र सम्पन्न भइसकेको अवस्था छैन, त्यसैले विविध समस्याहरू त हुन्छन् नै।
पार्टीगत कुराहरूलाई लिएर गर्दाखेरि गरिएको निर्णय पनि कार्यान्वयन नहुने अवस्था चाहिँ आउने गर्दछ।
बाटोघाटो बनाउँदाखेरि अब बढी च्यापिएको यसो भएको, अब अलि हुनेले हामी नहुनेलाई च्यापे भन्ने यस्ता खालका समस्याहरू आउँछन्।
कानुनी सल्लाहकार भएन भने त धेरै चुनौती छ।
कानुनी सहजता गर्ने खालको त्यहाँ कुनै अधिकृतको व्यवस्था गरेको छैन अनि त्यो कानुन सम्बन्धी अनुभवको अधिकृत दिएको छैन, त्यसले गर्दा पनि अलिकति समस्या भएको छ।
सासु ससुरा देउरानी जेठानी श्रीमानपट्टि पीडित भएका महिलाहरू अनि जग्गा जमिन चाहिँ चापिएका सिउसाडीका कुराहरू आउँछ।
बाटो सम्बन्धी और महिला हिंसा संबंधी और झाल खिड़की के संबंधी।
Rights activists have drawn the government attention demanding amendment of the bill related to transitional justice presented at the House of Representatives on the basis of the verdict of the Supreme Court and international standards. Saying the bill related to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission and the Commission of Investigation on Enforced Disappeared Persons are not in favor of the victims, rights activists have held a sit-in protest at Maithigar. They have alleged of inclusion of provisions in the bill that aim to provide respite to those guilty of crime. The rights activists have also warned of seeking legal remedies if the bills related to transitional justice are not victim-friendly. Universities and campuses will no longer be able to appoint teachers on their own. Now, following the degrading quality of higher education, the University Grant Commission (UGC) has made preparations to introduce a directive which requires teachers to pass an examination that would test their knowledge, skills and abilities. Individuals and campuses violating this regulation will not be recognized by the Commission. There are a total of 11 universities and 7 health science academies recognized equivalent to universities in operation for higher education and research in Nepal. Around 10,000 teachers are employed by the campuses under these academic institutions. Considering the practice of the campuses appointing teachers on their own and degrading quality of higher education, the University Grant Commission has made preparations to introduce a regulation which requires only those with a license to be employed as teachers. The UGC has prepared a working procedure for the same, which is to be implemented from next year. The UGC has also prepared a curriculum and committee for the examination of the teachers, where they are to be assessed on their knowledge of the subject, research aptitude and prowess, and teaching capabilities. Most of the appointment of teachers at universities and campuses under them are currently done on the basis of requirement or on the basis of recommendations. Officials of the Tribhuvan University are of the opinion that implementation of the new licensing mechanism will put an end to the existing practices while also enhancing the quality of education. However, teachers have expressed concerns regarding the new mechanism, while the selection of teachers is already being done through the University Service Commission. They have said that this step of the UGC encroaches the jurisdiction of the Service Commission. It is now time for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
Before we ask today's question, let us take a look at the result from yesterday's poll. Yesterday it asked, what do you term more than two-thirds examinees failing to clear the engineering license examination? 29% were for A, poor quality of education, 36% were for B, students lacking seriousness, and 35% were for C, confusion caused by the new system. And here is our today's question. Why are lecturers required to clear examination to be eligible for teaching at universities? Your options are A, to improve quality of education, B, to ensure transparency in appointments, and C, unnecessary complication. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C, and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. The presence and representation of women has been increasing in sectors of Nepal, including politics, technology and finance and economies in a recent time. Successful women from different sectors shared their stories of struggles and inspirations at the Nirvik Nari program organized by Nari Monthly of Kantipur Publications today. Addressing the event, Supreme Court Justice Sapna Pradhan Molla emphasized the need to ensure women's access to justice. Keynote speaker Molla highlighted that there were challenges in ensuring women's access to effective and accountable justice. Molla called for chain of justice for the same. Likewise, speaking at the Women's Health First session, Psychotherapist Sajina Dhungana, fertility specialist Dr. Swasti Sharma, Dr. Nauraz Kesi and advocate Subeksha Pokhrel all highlighted that removing wrong beliefs in society would help in improving the quality of women's mental health. In the second session, Youth Perspectives, Miss Nepal World 2022 Priyanka Rani Joshi, co-founder of BIC Technology Prarthana Sakha, climate change champion from UNICEF South Asia, Shreya Kesi, and Savitra Vandari Samba from Women's National Football Team all voiced that youth in any sector should move ahead with confidence. In the third session, titled Tech for Empowerment, IT specialist Timila Yami Thapa, food vlogger Kanchi Maya Bhandari, director of VS International College Karvika Thapa, and MD of General Technology Sunena Ghimire Pandey stressed on the use of technology for finding market for products. In the fourth session, titled Women's Success Stories, moderated by Kantipur Television's editor-in-chief Dilbhushan Pathak, former Minister for Foreign Affairs Bimala Rai Paudel, President of FWEAN Niru Raimasi Khatri, consultant dermatologist Dr. Srujana Shrestha, and entrepreneur Bimala Parazuli shared their struggles in the journey to success. Now, 34 new cases of coronavirus were reported in Nepal today. Based on the data, coronavirus cases have begun increasing in the recent days. 81 new cases of coronavirus have been reported in the past 4 days. The total number of active cases identified positive through PCR tests stand at 103 in the country. The government has claimed of intensifying tests and monitoring at the border points. According to the Epidemiology and Disease Control Division, most cases have been identified among those entering Nepal from Trinagar in Kailali, Bilaya of Rupandehi, and Gadda Chowki of Kanchanpur, among other places. However, new variants have yet to be identified from the tests. The government has also urged everyone to receive vaccines against coronavirus and has been providing the Pfizer bivalent as a booster dose. A total of 82.9% of Nepal's population has received the first dose of vaccine against coronavirus, while 82.7% has received the full dose. Now, Kathmandu's popular festival of the White Machindranath or Seto Machindranath kicked off today. The White Machindranath festival started on the same day as the Chaitya Dasai every year. The festival starts from the capital's Tindhara Pathsala at Dharmarg by pulling the chariot of Seto Machindranath, regarded as the god of rain and prosperity. The chariot is taken through Votahiti and reached Asan at the heart of the capital. According to Chief of Gudi Corporation Kathmandu, Rajendra Dahal, the annual festival of the Seto Machindranath will be celebrated for 3 days as every year.
Sports news.
And despite having always secured victories for 39 years, Team Nepal were held for a 1-1 draw by Bhutan at the Three Nations Cup underway in Kathmandu. Nepal had secured the 7-0 victory against Bhutan at the SAF Championship of 1999. And despite suffering defeats against Nepal in 13 tournaments since then, Bhutan have now secured a morale-boosting draw against the country. This performance of Bhutan is a witness to their improving standard of performance with a contrasting picture of Nepali football. National Football Governing Body, the All Nepal Football Association ANFA, is facing criticism for inviting relatively weaker sides for the ongoing Prime Minister Three Nations Cup. Standard of performance faces a reality check and improves when teams compete with sides that are relatively stronger. However, the ANFA had invited Bhutan and Laos, both nations placed lower than Nepal in the FIFA rankings for the Three Nations Cup. Based on the rankings, Nepal should have secured comfortable wins against the two opponents. While Nepal earned a 2-0 win over Laos in their first match, the opponents had displayed better performance. Addressing the post-match press conference, Laos coach Hans Michael Wies said that Team Nepal were physically and technically weak. His statements were proven correct in Nepal's clash against Bhutan, where they were held at a historic draw. While Nepal's performance against Laos was not praiseworthy, the host nation remained largely under pressure against Bhutan as well. Both performances have identified the need for improvement in football infrastructures and management in the country. Nepal head coach Vincenzo Alberto Anis, however, has said that the team's performance was gradually improving. In quite a sharp contrast, Nepal captain and custodian Kiran Chimjung termed the performance below satisfactory. Adequate efforts have not been made in the recent years for improvement in the standard and quality of Nepali football. Considered relatively weaker team, Bhutan have been improving their performance even at the age groups. The regulation 90 minutes of football matches do not only exhibit the standard of performance, they are also a reflection of the plans, investment and role of the national football governing bodies and the effort put in by the players. Therefore, it is imperative for the ANFA not to remain content even if Nepal win the tournament. Further delay in initiating efforts for improvement in the standard of performance may likely lead to defeat of the national team against any opponent. A Martyrs Memorial A Division League club, Machindra, have signed Bhutan forward Chencho Gyaltsen. Machindra Vice President Anil Shrestha has informed of signing Chencho for the ongoing season of the domestic top flight tournament. The club is to officially unveil Chencho amidst a press conference on Sunday. 26-year-old Chencho is to play in Nepal's A Division League for the first time and is currently in Nepal as he was the captain of Bhutan for the ongoing Prime Minister Three Nations Cup. However, Bhutan have already crashed out of the tournament following a 1-0 draw against host Nepal yesterday. It was Bhutan's first ever draw against Nepal. Chencho has already played from Round Glass Punjab in India's I-League alongside Nepal captain and goalkeeper Kiran Chemchog. Punjab had won the I-League. With major players having left for abroad, Machindra has signed Chencho for a monthly wage of 600,000 rupees. With 5 game weeks of the A Division League concluded, Machindra are placed 11th in the league standings with only 5 points as they have won just a single match, recorded 2 draws and suffered 2 defeats. Up next is the weather update. That is all for the moment. Up next is the news in Nepali. Thank you for staying with us. Goodbye for now.